Okay, settle down. Okay. Like that was believable. I just, I like fumbled the button because it didn't work at first. Yes, that was an applause button. It's included with my podcast equipment. Pretty sick, right? Okay, well, voice memo for later. Episode whatever the fuck it is. I don't care. It's some episode. You know, I gotta come clean. This was going to be a guest episode. Well, the first reason it fell through was nobody's fault. Someone got sick, and so we had to cancel, so that's fine. But then I had a backup guest, not to disrespect the great Alomeen. Very funny. He'll be on at some point. No, but so Aloe was going to come through for me as a backup guest here. And we actually were going to record before the mic, but then the mic, he couldn't make it. And I kind of had just given up on recording a podcast that night. But then the mic ended up ending early. And so we had time. And he's like, hey, let's record the podcast. I'm like, sure. So I go upstairs to the upstairs bar. And we just set it up on a table, you know. And, you know, these people are walking through. They're like, oh, you know, hey, we enjoyed the show, whatever. Like some new people came that had never been to Joystick before. That was cool. And so they see us setting up a podcast, right? I don't know why, but in my head, this just makes it all worse. Like there's witnesses to what's happening. Well, they didn't see the embarrassing part, but I'm getting all the stuff set up, and me and Aloe are just, you know, we're just talking about podcast equipment and other dumb nerdy shit. And I get it all set up, ready to go, and I'm getting ready to turn it on. I go to turn it on, and it won't power on. I'm like, what the hell? At first, I just thought like I didn't hold the button long enough or something, so I tried again. And I was like, oh crap! And then immediately my brain goes, oh no, please no, you fucked up, didn't you? Please say it. And so, because I remembered in that moment that I had rechargeable batteries, 2 sets that were both on a charger before I'd left, and I never pulled them off the charger and actually brought them with me. And sure enough, I opened the battery pack section of the whatever, you know what I'm talking about. I opened the battery thing, the compartment. That's probably a good name for it. I opened it up, and yeah, there's no batteries in there. I was like, fuck, this is super awkward, because we were just rearing to go. We're ready to record this podcast. It's like, you know, you're like, I don't know. It's like we were, okay, this is going to sound ridiculous, but the embarrassment I felt when I realized I'd left the batteries at home after I'd set everything up, and this man is waiting for me. He's sitting there waiting to do this. He's taking time out of his night that he doesn't need to do. He's a dad now. He's busy. He's taking time out of his evening to do a podcast with me because he's a good guy. And the embarrassment I felt when I realized I'd left the batteries at home was akin to like you're excited to like have sex with somebody and then you like can't get it up and you're like, what's happening right now? Like, I don't even have any business sleeping with this person. They're way hotter than me. And then you're like, you just can't get it up because you're just scared or something. I mean, that's never happened to me. I mean, I'll get it up whenever I want to. Okay. There's no problems with my equipment, but there was problems with my equipment. Literally, actually, my podcast equipment, there was problems, and I couldn't, so to speak, get it up because the batteries were at home. And so that was a bummer. And I really, I hated myself that night. Now I know what you guys are probably thinking. You're like, Zach, you're a spaz. Like, chill the fuck out. Like, that's not a reason to hate yourself. What are you talking about? You just forgot some batteries. It's an innocent mistake. And that's an appropriate reaction. It's like, yeah, it happens to anyone. Like, it's no big deal. But I have like a weird thing in my brain where like if something, especially if other people are relying on me in some way and I'm like capable of doing something, and then suddenly it's like, oh, I fucked up. Like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it, but there's like, if I know that I can do something and then like I make a mistake that just is that dumb, where it's just, you forgot the batteries at home. What are you doing, you idiot? Right. I when things like that happen to me, I ultra beat myself up. I get so aggressively angry at myself. I'm like, you dumb motherfucker. You left the batteries at home. Are you serious? Are you fucking serious right now? Like, you can't record a podcast if you don't have power to the damn audio equipment. I apologize. I think I just heard that in the monitoring. I pulled the mic away like that. Ooh, see, you can't hear me as well. Now you can hear me better. I'm not fucking around with the mic stands tonight. I didn't want to. I want to hold the mic. I'm a comedian. I like holding my microphone. I don't like setting it up. And if if you're podcasting with someone, sometimes it makes sense to kind of like set everything up nicely so that the audio will be really good and all this stuff. But it's just me. So I kind of feel like just holding the mic. I don't know. Well, yeah. I beat myself up really badly when that happens. And I probably should stop, but I don't know how to. That's just the way my brain is. And yeah, it's a bummer. But we will for sure have Aloe on at some point. Karen was the one who got sick and had to cancel on me. So Karen Sanchez Dougal. I don't know. Did she go by that full thing? I think at one point she was just going by Karen Sanchez, and now she goes by Karen Sanchez Dougal. Anyway, she's rescheduled now to come on. So hopefully that episode will come out in a week or two. Well, okay, it'd be for sure, because when we have scheduled, it'd be like 2 weeks from today. Today being the day that it's out, which is tomorrow, but today's Monday, but I don't know. I'm going to definitely try to put this on YouTube really soon here. I might actually try with this episode. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have video yet. I don't do video just because I don't have like a good way to record video. So I could do like, I've got a webcam. Like I could do video right now. I could be doing video with this if I really wanted to. But I don't want to do it until I'll be able to consistently do it, I guess, if that makes sense, right? Like, if I'm not going to have a way to record when I have a guest and like record in any situation, which would require like not a webcam, but like a dedicated camera that I would bring with me as well, which I could use my phone, but my phone is old and is really bad. So I don't really want to have to rely on that. I want to have like a GoPro or something, which I do actually. I have a GoPro. It's a really old one though, and the battery life is really bad. So that also is kind of off the table because I need to have a good battery life. So I'd have to get like one of the newest GoPros or something else. I could look into trying. I have a DSLR that I use to shoot photos. I haven't taken any pictures with it in a while, but I shot a wedding. My father-in-law's wedding. I shot his wedding 2020. Oh man, that was that was a fun time. 2020. Oh boy. We did a wedding. That was like a fun wedding because it was so dirty and wrong. Like it felt like we were absolutely not supposed to be doing it because we're like, dude, there's like this thing going around, this virus, and like we're supposed to like social distance and wear masks and everything. And we totally didn't do that in any of that. We didn't wear masks. We didn't keep away from each other. This random lady that I still don't remember who she is. She's like, was a friend of the bride or something, just, someone who's involved in the wedding that I don't know. But she like was a hugger, just one of those aggressive huggers, which I have no problem with, FYI. I'm a hugger at heart too, but I'm like socially awkward about it. So I don't take the risk of like going in for the hug because I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, and I feel uncomfortable like initiating it. I don't want people to like get a wrong idea or something. I don't know. I don't like that moment of like, are we hugging or not? So I actually really like huggers that are like really forward about it, because like I said, I feel like I'm a hugger. Like I like hugging people. It's nice. It's a nice way to be like, hey buddy, you're my friend. I care about you. You know, it's just a nice way to express your casual, not casual. It's a great way to express your love to, like, what was I trying to say? I just was saying casual because, like, it's not like a lover thing. It's not like an intimate thing. It's just like you just hug people, right? It's just a nice human, empathetic, warm, like, cool thing you can do to express your gratitude to somebody or whatever. That's what I was trying to say. Casual. I couldn't figure out how to say it, but yeah, I feel like I'm a hugger, but I just don't go for it because it's embarrassing. I don't want to go for the hug and be wrong. God damn, that would be so freaking embarrassing, man. Yeah. Who did I do that with? Where I just I chose to go for the hug. I did that one time at my wedding, I think is what I'm thinking of. God, I don't remember who it was that this happened with, but somebody was at the wedding. They're going through the line after the ceremony's just ended. You know, everyone's making their way inside for drinks and everything for the, the reception and all that. Yeah, the thing, let's be honest, the thing that every single person at a wedding who's not the bride and groom is the most excited for. Hell, even the bride and groom, get real, dude. Do you think I was excited to go through with my wedding ceremony? Like, don't get me wrong. I love my wife and I wanted to get married and I wanted to go through the ceremony, to like do that, right? I wanted to get it done, but like I didn't. It's an uncomfortable, like, social setting that I didn't want to have to, it's just awkward and embarrassing and whatever. Like, it's just, if certain people are just not public people, and I'm for sure one of those people. Like, I don't mind being in public. I mean, Lord knows the amount of times I've, juggled in front of random people out on the street, when I busked and stuff. Like, I have no problem being in front of people and doing stuff. But when it comes to, like, personal, intimate things, like a marriage, like, I'm going to get married and you all are going to watch me do it. Like, that's just weird. I don't know. For some reason, that's just awkward for me. And same thing with, like, on stage, like, telling jokes and stuff. Like, I don't have any problem. Well, I mean, I did, like, the first time, right? Everyone does when they first go up. It's, like, uncomfortable because you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I still barely know what I'm doing. But now I'm comfortable being on stage and doing that. But that's a whole different thing. But where was I going with that? Huggers. I'm a hugger, but yeah, I don't want to. Oh, right. And so at my wedding, there was somebody, and I don't remember who it was. I wish I could remember, but not that it would matter because anyone in this podcast land that's listening to this right now, actually, who am I shitting? Anyone who's listening to this right now is for sure a friend or family member of mine, because this has not made it out to the masses yet. Even though it's available to the masses, nobody knows about it because this is a brand new podcast. So, like, yeah, I don't have listeners, right? So actually, anyone who is listening to this episode right now, I for sure probably, like, does know me and might actually know the person that I was going to talk about, like, or that I was going to mention if I could remember, but I wouldn't have mentioned it because it's weird. That's weird. I'm not going to just randomly mention name. I'm not just going to name drop random people I know that are not known figures or whatever and be like, yeah, so, my friend George, I don't have a friend named George, but, like, my friend George, Stefan, it's like if I had a friend named George Stefan that nobody knew, I wouldn't just, like, blast his name on the podcast. It's weird. It feels wrong, right? It's like I don't have their consent to, like, be publicized in this way on a podcast. Like, that's weird. If you're a comedian, fuck you. The rules don't apply to you. I'm definitely calling you out by name because you signed up for it, though, in a way. Even if you didn't expressly say, like, hey, feel free to mention my name on your podcast, I'm okay with that. Even if you didn't expressly give me your consent for that, you kind of gave me your consent in an indirect way by being on stage and being a comedian at all. It's kind of like, yeah, you're signing up for that. That's part of the deal, is people might talk about you on a podcast or something. I don't know where I'm going with that. Damn, I can't finish a story. But so this person that I don't remember walked up and, they're going through the line saying, like, hey, congratulations, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And I do remember, yeah, for sure was a female. I don't remember who it was. But somebody that I know, obviously, they're at my wedding, right? I just can't remember which person it was because I had a lot of people that I know that were at that wedding. So, and the rest of the night kind of made that moment forgettable, I guess, because the rest of the night was like more rememberable. What's the word for that? I don't know. Memorable. Holy shit, memorable is a real word. Yeah, it was, the rest of the night was more memorable. I'm just like, rememberingable? I don't know. But yeah, she definitely, like, I could tell right after the hug happened, because we were trying to, like, you could tell we were, like, in real time negotiating, like, having that exchange of, like, what's happening right now? Like, right, are we hugging? Are we handshaking? Like, what's going to happen? And I think, like, I just made the executive decision because, like, it was taking too long. So I was like, I'm just going to go in for the hug. And I don't remember if she actually said anything or if I just read it in the moment, but I'm like, that was the wrong move. That was the wrong move. And she does not want to be hugged. But now it's too late. It's already happening. That's weird, right? It's like a hug. If you already start hugging someone, because you can't like negotiate consent with a hug very easily, right? I mean, you can, right? I mean, the only way you can do it is very, like, verbally and upfront, like, in an obvious way, right? You could be like, can I hug you? Like, you could say that. And I think I've heard people say that before when I've been in a room, right? I think I've heard someone actually, I don't know. That's a thing. Some people do that sometimes in certain situations, right? Like if someone feels bad, they're like emotional and like upset about something, and like another person might not know them super well, but like only knows them a little bit, and they feel really bad for them in the moment and they want to comfort them. So then they'll like ask like, hey, can I hug you? Right? Because they don't want to just jump in and hug them if they're not like their close friend or something. So that is a thing, but it's not a common thing. Most people do not do that. So it's like, you kind of just go for it. I guess that's kind of the same way with like a first kiss between two people, right? They kind of just, you know, sometimes you just have to read and you just go for it. You're not going to like, if you're trying to court someone, right? And you're going to go for the kiss. Like if you go on a first date with someone and you're going to go for the kiss, you're not going to be like, can I kiss you now? Like, it's just, I don't know. There's something about the way humans are wired that I think we don't like that, but we also don't like our consent being violated, obviously, right? So it's kind of creates a tricky like balance that you have to do. Like it's a game you have to play carefully, where you're like, I don't want to do anything against someone's consent, but I also don't want to be like a nerd and be like, can I do this now? Can I do that now? Because then that's just like also kind of a turn off and weird. It's like weird social behavior, right? It's just like, and maybe it shouldn't be, I don't know. Maybe all the weirdos these days that are like, you must like ask before you proceed with any action with somebody intimately. It's like, maybe those weirdos have it right. You know, maybe that is the future. But I come from a time where you're a weird person if you're doing that, right? But you're also a horrible person, obviously, if you're just violating people's consent left and right and you don't care, right? That's a terrible thing to do as well. So you got to just, I don't know. Personally, I think the best way, I like how we just go from hugs to like, yeah, also this is about like sexual, like consent. I don't know, but it's consent, right? It's your body. It's kind of the same subject, you know? It's all related. But you know, it's just, we're talking about bodies here. I had to, I'm sorry. I have a funky music button and I wanted, my goal with that is that somebody someday is going to listen to this and it gets to that moment and they're going to feel really uncomfortable. Be like, oh my God, this is so awkward. I hope I make you feel awkward. I'm a specialist at making people feel awkward. But yeah, you have like porno music as a button that you can just press during the podcast, and I mean that's a perfect moment. I'm like, we're talking about bodies. Well, here, I'm not going to do. I'll do it again. Here you go. Yeah, we're talking about bodies. That's so creepy. But no, consent. Yeah, it's a tricky thing because you want to make sure you have everyone's consent before you do anything that's at all intimate, whether it's just hugging somebody that you don't know or whether it's like you know, a blowy. That's a fun thing to say, right? A blowy, like blowjob. Blowjob's so formal. I'm going to call it a blowy. Because it's, I don't know, it sounds like a way that like a blowy, you know, like a mobster might say a blowy. Like, I don't know. That's how I imagine a Chicago or a New York, like old school mobster would have referred to a blowjob as like aggressively just saying a blowy, right? That just seems right. It's fun to say. You should try saying it. If you've never said blowy, but you got to go blowy, well, maybe not too much. Just like blowy, a blowy. There you go. That's like, it's a balance. You gotta say it right. But it's fun. But yeah, whether it's a hug with just someone you don't know very well, or it's like a blowy with somebody that hopefully you do know a little better. I don't know. It could be a one night stand. Who knows? That's a thing nowadays for sure. I mean, it's always been a thing, but like hookup culture is crazy now. That's all people do is like, well, at least that's what it seems like. I'm not in that market, you know, I'm married. So I don't for sure know what's happening. I just know from what people tell me and what I see around me, but it definitely seems like it's like this crazy, just like hookup culture now where people are just like, I don't know, people used to worry about that first kiss, didn't they? But nowadays it's like they're worrying about like, are they going to like my sex game, right? Are they like, is my dick going to be big enough? It's like, that's a weird thing, right? Guys used to worry about like going for that first kiss because they're the ones who kind of like socially, like, that's just the standard is men, at least when we're talking about a heterosexual relationship, obviously, right? It could be different with any other kind of relationship, but we're talking about like a quote traditional like heterosexual relationship that like, you know, is the American standard. You know, men were usually expected to, you know, they initiate the contact and whatever, they make those decisions, right? And then the woman hopefully is like cool with it, and the man just like has to read the situation and try to figure out on the fly. Which is kind of, yeah, I mean, I can, you know, hey, I'll admit it, just saying that out loud, that does feel, in the words of the Gen Z kids today, that does sound kind of rapey, right? It's kind of like, it's uncomfortable that, like, the man's just going to do stuff and hopefully the woman likes it. Like, that's pretty weird. But no, I mean, you try not to be, like, a bad person or creepy. You just, you know, if you're a good person, you would, but that was just expected of you, right? It's like, you're supposed to be the romantic person and like initiate the next steps, right? And then the woman's supposed to like put off some sort of signal of whether it is or isn't okay to like proceed to try to go for the next step, right? That's just how it's always been. I don't think it's a great system. I think it should be more equal where men and women both kind of like feel free to try to go to the next step, and then they read each other and they, you know, negotiate that together rather than like one-sided. But that's how it's traditionally been in the past. So where was I going with this? We were talking about blowies. Oh, hookup culture and then blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So yeah, men used to like, or boys rather, I mean, really, you know, because this is something you would start to experience or feel pressure about socially, and you know, when you're like a teenager too, when you're like a kid, right? You go on a date with a girl or whatever, and you're just like, when do I know how do I know when to kiss her and blah blah blah, you know, what if she doesn't like me, all those dumb nerdy teenage worries. God, what a time, right? When that's your worst fear, is like, what if this random girl doesn't like me? Like, who cares, dude? Like, you have no responsibility unless you're from like a really like lower class household where like your parents are like, you better be working because we need help. Like, and that's unfortunate. That does happen. But if you're like privileged enough to come from like a household where things are stable somewhat, you don't really have much of any responsibility. Maybe you have some chores or something, right? That your parents expect of you. Or maybe, you know, maybe they do, maybe you're from one of those households where whether or not you need to help your parents financially, like whether or not that's the thing they're putting on you, they might just be like, even if we don't need your money to assist with the household income, like for responsibility, to learn responsibility, you should get a job and have a job, right? Some houses are like that too. I was from a house where it's like my parents were, middle class. Like there was definitely no need for me to work. And there was also not really, I don't recall much pressure to work until like late high school, right? Because when I got my first job, I was a senior in high school. I didn't actually work until then. I had a lot of friends. That was actually not the norm from my place, from my neck of the woods, Solon, Iowa. A lot of people that I knew actually did have jobs before then. Like plenty of people. I don't think that many people. Well, I don't think a ton of people had jobs when they were like freshmen necessarily. But by the time you were a sophomore, a lot of people I knew had some sort of like service job, around town or whatever, or a retail job or something. But yeah, I don't know if it was just like my parents just were like, you're going to be an adult soon, you need to get a job, right? Or if I don't remember how that conversation went. I just know that at some point, I think it was like kind of a mutual thing where I feel like I kind of wanted to have some spending money, and they were also kind of like, also you should get a job. It was probably something like that. But then I worked at a grocery store, and yeah, dude, but you don't have much of any responsibility. Most kids don't have like hardly any, compared to an adult, don't have hardly any responsibility. So, man, what a freaking time. That's your worry, is like, what if she doesn't like me? But yeah, you used to bring it back full circle to where I was originally going with all this whole thing, is with all the hookup culture. That's been replaced now, as far as I can tell. That's been replaced. It's no longer like, oh, how do I know when to kiss her? What if she doesn't like me? And it's like, now it's just like, is my dick big enough? I don't know. It's like, what does your dick have to do anything? Why are you pulling your dick out? Well, Tinder, that's what you do. You pull your dick out. Like, what? What the hell are you guys doing? That's crazy, dude. Like, I don't have a problem with hookup culture. Well, no, actually, I do. To be honest, I have a little bit of a problem with hookup culture. I don't have a problem with an individual, like on an individual person's level, like two people deciding to hook up and have like a one night stand. No judgment from me. Okay, I have no problem with that. If you're both consenting adults, you can do what you want, and if that's what you feel you want to do, okay. But I don't like the culture of it, where it's like, it's just what we do now, is people just hook up. And it's like, damn. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe there's something lost in that, though, where like, I don't know. Because, okay, you know what it is? let me backtrack. I don't have a problem at all with hookup culture. As like a whole, like if that's the normal thing that people do now, they hook up a lot more instead of having relationships. And then like once they meet someone they really like, then they try to make that into a relationship. Like if that's just how people negotiate that world now, that's fine. Trends and things in society change over time. And if that's the new thing now, that's okay, whatever. That's fine. I guess what I have a problem with is it's that combined with the social media shit that happens, right? Because like people are already disconnecting in like an intimate way where it's like it's hard for people to like, people don't know how to talk to each other that well anymore. That's probably backed up by data. I don't have it in front of me because I'm not going to go find data, but I've heard that there are studies that have been done on stuff like this. So, I do know, here's what I can pretty confidently say. Is the suicide rates of like young girls, like preteen girls even, has gone up over the years recently. And it seems pretty well connected to social media. And that's sad as fuck. Like that's super sad. That was when I first learned about those statistics and realized that it wasn't just like hearsay or an assumption. It wasn't just like, it had moved past the, what is the word I'm looking for? Like evidence that is not really evidence. Is more just like, oh, well, one time my friend had this thing happen to them, or I had this thing happen to me. God damn it. Damn it. Okay. Sorry for the noise with the shifting hand with the mic and stuff. I'm going to have one hand type here and we're going to look this up together. Evidence. God, I hate pecking. I'm actually a pretty decent typer, but I'm reduced right now to holding the mic, so I'm typing with one hand because I have a mic stand, but again, I didn't want to use it, so I don't have it out, and I'm not going to get it out just for this. Evidence. What would I even Google? Evidence from... oh, no, that's what I would Google is like personal evidence. Personal evidence. What is the word, dude? There's a word. Anecdotal. Jesus Christ. There's Wikipedia. Thank you. I searched personal evidence, but then there was I didn't want to finish typing with my slow ass one hand pecking. Damn, that sucks. I hate typing with one hand. That's so dumb. Yeah, especially because I'm not like a slow typer, you know. But yeah, and then it suggested like personal evidence based. I'm like, that's not exactly what I wanted to Google, but sure, because I want to stop typing. But then it's like the second real hit here from Wikipedia. Anecdotal evidence. Thank God. I can't believe I forgot the word anecdotal. That's pretty weird. But yeah, it wasn't just like anecdotal evidence. Like I'd heard from multiple reputable sources about these different studies that have been done that kind of bore that out and showed that like, yeah, the suicide rate for these age ranges of like these young girls has gone up like a lot. And it is like, you know, they can tie it to, I don't know if it was based on timeline or if it's based on like the facts behind these suicides or what, I don't know, but like they were able to basically tie it to like social media, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of related to that for sure. So that's, you know, it's just sad. Yeah, I don't know why did we talk about sad stuff now? That's, you know, we need to have fun again, right? Yeah, funky. Yeah, let's talk about bodies again. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to get creepy and weird again. I just wanted to play the funky music again because it got sad. And so I got to pep it up again, dude. That's what you do. How long have we been recording for? 32 minutes. Okay. I got plenty of time. I don't need to stop this recording anytime soon for like any particular reason. So I figured you probably heard me taking a sip of my beverage, so I just may as well make it even more obnoxious, you know, and just go right in your ear. You have no choice. I'm violating your consent because I'm a terrible person. Yeah, I'm excited for the mic tonight, though. Joysticks tonight. I'm pretty excited. I didn't think it was tonight because I'm all fucked up because of the long weekend, because I didn't work today because the day after New Year's. New Year's was on a Sunday, and so because of that, you know, it's being observed on Monday. Therefore, I got out of work for Monday, which is cool. But it felt like a Sunday to me. I actually reinforce this the way I talk about it too, because like whenever I don't know about you guys, but when I have time off, it's just a fun way for my brain to think about it. I always think about it as having extra Saturdays, right? So it's like if I have a long weekend where I'm not going to work on Monday, then when it's Saturday, I'm like, okay, here's my first Saturday. And then when it's Sunday, but I don't work on Monday, I'm like, yeah, it's Saturday number 2. Like I got a second Saturday this week. Like, I don't know. For some reason, that just is the way my brain likes to think about it. And so because of that, I was thinking that today's Sunday because it's the last day before I actually have to go back to work tomorrow. But it's actually Monday. And so it's like, oh, wait a minute. And I confirmed, and sure enough, they are open. So there's a mic tonight. So I am excited. Switch hands again because I'm going to pull up of some stuff I want to try tonight. I'm pulling up my set list. Yeah. So, ambulances and selfish. But why does it just say and selfish? And selfish people, I think is what it was supposed to say. That didn't save or something. That's weird. Okay, well, ambulances and selfish people. That's a new one. DoorDash recommended drugs. That's an old one I've been doing for a while that works pretty well. Forgetting anxious thoughts. That's another kind of old one. It's not as old, but it's old. Small Dick, Fat Body. That's another older one at this point, as well as Sucky Dick. God, it's fun reading through my set list to other people. Like, hey, you want to hear about my set? This is my set list. And then you're probably like, yeah, I'm hearing a lot about like dicks and stuff. Like, yeah, what can I say? Hookup culture and ugly people. Okay, so yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about hookup culture and the whole ugly people thing. And then good contact. Good contact is the oldest bit that I'm still doing. When was that from? Like June? It's from like the summer when I first did good contact. Yeah, well, it had to have been because it was when I was taking my dog on a walk is when it happened. And it was nice weather. It was like sunny and stuff. So yeah, it probably makes sense that it would have been in the summer. Yeah. Dude. I mean, I haven't been doing comedy that long, so for me, something from the summertime, like let's just call it June. Let's just say it was in June. Actually, let's say it was in July. Even if it was in July, I think it was in June though. Let's say it's in June. So if it was in June, it's January now. So July, August, September, October, November, January. Like that's 6 months. Like to me, that's a long time to be doing the same bit. But it is something I have to start transitioning to, is doing that kind of thing of like keeping bits around that kind of work and working on them further. Because when I first started, obviously you don't have anything. You're just like, I have no material. And not only actually the crazy thing about that, because lots of very experienced comedians, it's kind of standard industry practice these days that a lot of like the most popular comedians, what they'll do is they'll record a special, right? They'll put out their best material in a recorded show, right? And they'll blast that out onto Netflix or YouTube or, HBO, wherever they're going to put it. And then they'll start over again. This was kind of started by like Louis C.K. and, I don't remember who originally did that, because Louis got that from someone else as like an idea of something that he wanted to start challenging himself to do. And then, I don't know, at some point that became like a standard that everyone's like, yeah, we all do that. Like, I mean, there's still people like Seinfeld that like slowly phase out material over time, but like the newer school thought is like that's what you do, is like you put out a special and you retire all of those jokes. You just don't do those anymore, and you just come up with a whole new hour and you do that now, and then you'll record another special and you rinse and repeat. Like that's just how it goes. So yeah, I mean, there are plenty of experienced comics that like for sure like have been in that situation where they're like, I have no material, because they just retired a bunch of material. But as a new comic, that's like a very like peculiar, like uncomfortable situation. It's like, not only do I have no material, I don't know how to write new material because I'm new. So I got nothing, and I don't know how to even get something. But once I started like figuring out some kind of a process and a flow to like generating new material, it started to become a thing where like, I was just trying to find stuff that worked. And eventually over time, I've found some stuff that's like fairly reliable, and I've improved on those things over time. And so now I'm at that phase where I'm like, okay, I have some stuff that kind of works for me right now at this point in my career. I need to keep some of that stuff around and keep working on it and making it better and better, and eventually form, a really good type 5, and then eventually form like a reasonably good 10 or 15, which won't be as tight, of course, but will be like, that way I'd have something if I were on, a show for 10 or 15 minutes, which doesn't really happen to me. Oh yeah, shows. I should get used to doing this. It doesn't matter because nobody listens to this, but I do have some shows coming up. So this Friday, if you're listening to this when it just first was uploaded or whatever, that probably will be tomorrow morning. I'll probably schedule it for tomorrow morning like I usually do. So that's Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. That's just usually when I upload I usually upload on Monday, but I schedule it for Tuesday at 6 a.m. But, so yeah, if you're listening to this when it has just uploaded and it's Tuesday, tomorrow, aka, on Friday, I will be at Joystick, and that will be at 9 o'clock should be the show. 9 or 9:30? Fuck. When is that? I just burped into the mic a second ago. I hope you enjoyed that. I think it's 9:30. Hold on, we're going to get this right, okay? Oh wait, I have it right here. There's another note in Evernote. Shows booked. Yeah, 9:30. Okay. Because Travis had told me when because they all start at this time. It's the same time that they start their shows normally. So yeah, Friday at Joystick, 9:30. I will be on that show. And then also on January 21st, so that's January 6th, this Friday, January 21st, that's like 2 weeks later on a Saturday, I'm at Joystick again. And then also another Saturday, like 3 weeks after that, February 11th, I'm at Joystick. So January 6th, January 21st, and February 11th, all at Joystick, 9:30 p.m. If you've never seen me do comedy before, feel free to come out and see me. Hopefully it'll be fun. Hopefully we'll have a good turnout. Should be a good time. And I will probably be doing some version of the set that I currently have in some form or fashion. We're going to try some new stuff tonight at the mic. But yeah, so ambulances and selfish people. So that one is... I was thinking about this the other day. An ambulance was like coming up. And, I pulled over and put on my flashers, my hazards, if you will, like you're supposed to do, like a normal person. And there was this jackass who just like kept going, and they were like had some distance ahead, but they were like pulling around people that had pulled over. Like the way they were driving was like, hey, buddy, I know this is important, but where I got to get right now is extremely important as well. I'm in a hurry. I can't be late. I'm like, dude, what? Like, hold on. Like, you're so selfish. Like, you're trying to get to, like, I don't know, a house party, or you maybe have an appointment with a client. If I want to really give you the benefit of the doubt of, like, maybe it was really important, like maybe you have a really important meeting with a client that you really want to close this deal on, and it's going to change your life financially because this is a big client or something. I don't know. It was kind of later in the evening, I think, so it'd be a weird time for that to happen. But I don't know. Even if I extend you courtesy and I say, look, maybe it was really important. Yeah, dude, the person in the ambulance might have been dying. So, like, I think that might be a little more important. Anyway, I have no idea where I'm going to go with that or what that is. It's just like an idea for a bit. It's just like a barely not even really a premise. It's just kind of a topic. But I might just riff on that tonight. And then, like I said, DoorDash recommended drugs. That's an old one. Forgetting Anxious Thoughts is an older one. Small Dick, Fat Bodies, newer-ish, but it is still old. It's already something I'm doing. Same with Sucky Dick, Hookup Culture, and Ugly People. This is the other one. So there's really just two things I have tonight that I want to work on. Is ambulances and selfish people, and then Hookup Culture and Ugly People. That one I'm actually most excited to do, because this is another similar situation. I'm just going to write on stage and just figure out what I come up with. But I think it's really funny that when people like go to a club and it's like, I don't know, it's like one of those hot clubs where it's really, really popular and you got to like be approved by the bouncer. You got those clubs, because some clubs, like the type of clubs I've been to, you can't even really call them clubs for the most part, unless we're talking about a comedy club. But like I've never been to a club that like there's raves at or whatever the fuck. I'm not a weird party, night owl party person. That's not me. So I don't even know what you would call it. But it's a nightclub. Yeah. So I've never really been to much of a nightclub, I wouldn't say. Well, no, that's not true. I've probably been to one or two of them when I was in Mexico. But that was like a bachelorette party, so that's like a different thing. But other than that one time, right, I've never really been to a proper nightclub. But there's nightclubs where, because a lot of like bars, just regular bars, they'll have a bouncer or two outside, maybe 3 or 4 if it's like a really popular night and they're trying to like, keep things chill. So they might have more on staff, but there's like a dress code. And if you violate the dress code, or if you just do something douchey, right, like they might kick you out or they might not let you in. But at like a nightclub, they might turn you away just because you're fat or ugly. Or, well, really, it's the same thing, right? If you're fat, then they're in their mind, you're like, yeah, you're ugly. I don't know. But they'll just be like, yeah, you're fat. I don't like you. Go away. Like, that's just a thing they can do. And I just think it's really funny that, like, what are they, like, what is the harm of having an ugly, fat person in the nightclub? Because if it's from the perspective, like, let's look, so, okay, obviously they want hot people coming in the door, especially hot women, right? Because they want to sell drinks, right? If there's hot women, lots of dumb men will come in and they'll buy a bunch of drinks and shit, right? So that's the whole purpose. So I get that, right? It might be shitty and you could argue the ethics of it or whatever, but it's a business decision. It makes sense on some level. But here's where it breaks down. Here's the weird thing, is when you think about it from the perspective of the patrons of the club, if you're in there and you're throwing your third drink down the hatch and there's a hot girl you're trying to talk to, if you turn your head and you see a fat, ugly person, man or woman, and it just disturbs you or something, you're like, ooh, that person's gross, right? Hey, guess what? You could just turn your head back to the hot girl and look at her again. Like, you don't need to look at them. Like, you don't have to look at ugly people. Nobody's making you do it. So it's like, it's so weird. They're like, why would you kick people out? Like, you're ugly. Nobody wants to see you. Guess what? They don't have to. They can just turn away. Like, it's not like a fat, ugly person being in the club. It's not going to harm things, I don't think. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something on that, but I just think that's crazy and silly, and I want to talk about it. So that's another thing I want to work on tonight. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll do all that shit. I don't really have anything else I want to talk about. I think we've gone long enough. This is 46 minutes now. Yeah. We don't need to do an hour episode or more with just me talking. Okay. But yeah, you can look forward to, we're going to have Karen Sanchez or Karen Sanchez Dougal. That's something I'll have to talk to her about on the podcast, is what, do you want to go by Karen Sanchez or do you want to go by Karen Sanchez Dougal? Also, another thing I'll have to talk to her about is the weirdness of like Hispanic names being pronounced in a very like American English way that it kind of drives me nuts. You get used to it. With some of them, it's just so common. Like Sanchez is one that you're like, yeah, Sanchez. Like that's, but like, shouldn't it be like Sanchez? Isn't it? Like you wouldn't say San, you'd say San, right? I don't know. It's just weird. You just get, or what's another one? It's like, yeah, I can't think of another one like off the top of my head right now. And by the way, if I come up with any of these examples, we don't need to go through them, because then I'll just be trying to like enunciate them properly in Spanish, but my Spanish is so bad and unpracticed that it'll sound really embarrassing and white, so I don't want to do it. Oh, and there's another, this is voice memo for later. So here's a voice memo for later for myself. Okay. When we talk to Karen, we're going to talk about the Americanized versions of Hispanic things. That could be an interesting topic. And then when we get Aloe, that was the other thing I was going to bring up, is at some point we're obviously going to have Aloe on. Oh, you know what? Actually, also we're going to have Mr. Ben Woodfield on. And there's other people I'm in talks with, so nothing else is really confirmed. Karen is confirmed, like scheduled, rescheduled rather. Aloe's not scheduled yet, but we're trying to do it, right? Obviously, I botched it last time with forgetting the batteries, but so that's like at some point he's expressed that he wants to do the podcast. So like we'll do that for sure. So for sure we got Karen at some point here. For sure we got Aloe at some point here. And then actually coming up like this, was it this week? Yeah, this week, like on Thursday or something. I like have scheduled. So that's the next one actually. Oh yeah. I don't know why I didn't lead with that. Well, here, we'll end on that. The next guest, hopefully this next week, a week from the day you're listening to this or whenever, the next episode after this one, we'll have Mr. Ben Woodfield, hopefully. And that should be a fun time. But no, I was going to say, yeah, the whole topic to talk about with Karen, but then with Aloe, I want to talk about being white and being weird, being weirdly white. Because that's a struggle I have sometimes. I don't know how to like not be too white, if that makes sense. Like I just feel really just awkward sometimes, where I'm like, this is not the time to be super, super white, but I'm like, I just can't help myself. So maybe he can give me some advice on how to not let my whiteness overtake the room. That'll be fun. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll see you next time. Hopefully with Mr. Ben Woodfield. It'll be a fun time. All right. Well, to close us out. All right. Let's do it one more time. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. We'll talk to you guys next time. All right. Later. Peace.